Okay, in this video, I'm giving my reaction to UFC 325 that took place yesterday. Volk versus Diego Lopez 2. The overall card in general was pretty okay. It was no UFC 324, but it was pretty exciting. The main card, there were some finishes, there were some good sequences. The main event was a little bit boring, but still very technical and very skillful, so it wasn't like super boring by any means, but it was hard to follow UFC 324, and it didn't it didn't live up to the hype that I had drawn out for it, to be honest. But it was still pretty good, and we're going to be going over the main card in this video, starting with Quinlan Southkill versus Jamie Malarkey. I picked Quinlan Southkill to win by knockout. This was my lock of the card. I really thought Quinlan had zero, like, he was going to win, and he won. But not in the way I thought. I thought he was going to knock out Jamie Malarkey on the feet, but in the start of this fight, Malarkey was coming out with some pressure, and I was like, oh shit, hold on. Jamie's kind of pressuring good. He's kind of looking like he wants to make this a brawl, and maybe Quillen will start to wilt under pressure. We haven't really seen him in these situations before very often. But that wasn't the case. Quillen shot a takedown. He got it. He got it pretty easily, and he was able to latch up the rear naked choke after some scrambling on the bottom. And yeah, Quillen Southkill chokes out Jamie Malarkey pretty easily in the first round. Shows a different aspect of his game that we all kind of knew he had, but we didn't know how well he's going to be able to execute it as he goes up the rankings. And Jamie Malarkey isn't good by any means at this point in his career, but he has still made tough fights out of pretty decent opponents. So it was impressive by Quillen Southkill, and he keeps his finish streak alive and his hype alive. And I bet he's going to go on and do pretty good at lightweight. I have big hopes for Quillen Southkill. I like his style. He's well rounded. He's going to go forward. I think he's going to knock out a couple more cans, and then he'll be looking for the rankings, and I think he will be able to succeed in that area. So yeah, Quillen Southkill, good shit, pretty fun, I guess. Next, Tai Tuivasa versus Talison Teixeira. So I'm an idiot. I'm a dumbass idiot. I'm never picking Tai Tuivasa ever again to win a fight ever again in the ever. Just I'm never gonna pick him. Tai Tuivasa loses to Talison Teixeira, and it was terrible. It was a terrible fight. Tai looked like shit. Talison was able to grapple him. He won by unanimous decision. Clearly, won all 3 rounds. It was just a tragic fight for me because Tai, I thought, was going to be able to go forward and land his big dumb retard punches like he usually does. And Talson Teixeira just got knocked out by that. He hasn't shown that he's a really good grappler by any means. He hasn't proven his worth against an opponent worth a damn. And Tai's five fight losing streak was against like a bunch of top level heavyweights. So I really thought Tai was going to be able to get this one done. Turns out they're both really shit. But Tai Tuivasa is literally incapable of stuffing a takedown or doing anything to get off a bottom. It's impossible. And I get that Talson Teixeira is 6'7", but you still be able to. You're a UFC fucking heavyweight. You should be able to stuff a takedown. But he's too fat. He's too blubbery. And once he hits the canvas, he's like glue. He's stuck completely. And Talson Teixeira was able to dominate in that field. He got tired as fuck as the fight went on as well, though. Talson Teixeira gassed out by the third round, and I really thought Tai was maybe going to be able to get something going in the third because Talson was dead tired, but Tai instead just held him up against the cage, didn't really throw because he was fat and tired as well. So he had his moments in the third on the feet a little bit. He was still landing low kicks every once in a while, but Talson clearly won by just being better at grappling, pretty much, and having the tiniest bit more of a gas tank. Which I don't even know if that's true, to be honest, because Taliesin was just completely gassed and basically begging to get KO'd by a right hook, but Tai just couldn't find the mark because he's a big fat dumbass. So yeah, Tai lost. I'm an idiot. I'm never picking him ever again. Taliesin Teixeira won. Doesn't rise his stock, in my opinion. I think he's going to get right when someone can stuff a takedown, which I guess he might be able to beat a couple more fat idiots at heavyweight, but if he goes against anybody with any athleticism, I think he's going to get stuffed and knocked the fuck out. And I don't think his cardio is going to play, like, he's not a prospect to look out for at heavyweight, I don't think. So, yeah. Next, we have Rafael Fiziev versus Mauricio Ruffy. I was incorrect again. Holy shit. I'm glad I was incorrect, though, to be honest, because Mauricio Ruffy is just an amazing striker, and he's super fun to watch. And I'm very glad we got a knockout out of this fight. It was very surprising to me. I picked Rafael Fiziev to win. I thought he was going to be able to mix in the grappling when he needed to, but more importantly, be a short, stout striker who's very technical and be able to work his game plan, which he's used to against Ruffy, who's coming off of a loss where he kind of got dominated in the cardio. I thought Fiziev would be able to make it gritty and work his game, but he wasn't. He was coming forward the entire fight. Ruffy was on the back foot the entire fight, but Fiziev really couldn't get shit going. He landed decent shots on the feet, and he was looking crisp at the beginning with his leg kick and his inside shots and stuff, but the more the fight went on, the more Mauricio Ruffy's straight shots were landing big. The more he started landing low kicks of his own, he started to really get comfortable in the octagon and find his range. And his straight shots were the most important thing about this fight, in my opinion. He was landing his jab and his straight left and his straight right all the time in this fight. And eventually, that's what led to the finish. He backed up, landed a straight right hand, clipped Fiziev badly on the chin, dropped him, followed up with ground and pound, and was able to TKO Rafael Fiziev on the feet, which, to be honest, is really impressive to me. Fiziev is not an easy opponent to knock out. Justin Gaethje was in there with him twice, couldn't get him out of there. Bahamondes was in there and couldn't get him out of there. A lot of opponents, good opponents, have not been able to crack Rafael Fiziev's chin. And Mauricio Ruffy, off of the just pretty embarrassing loss to Benoit Saint Denis in his last fight, was able to do that against an opponent like Rafael, which I think is a step up in competition compared to Benoit. But now, after Benoit's most recent fight, which took place on this card, I don't know. If anything, Benoit Saint Denis' stock, just even if he didn't win his fight, has gone up so much just from this card because the guy he just dominated got a sick knockout win, and now he beats the shit out of Dan Hooker. Benoit Saint Denis has completely flipped the switch, in my opinion, because I thought of him as dog shit after the Renato Moicano loss. But now I'm starting to think it was staph infection and that he has a really good excuse and that he was off his game because he is running through lightweights now pretty easily. And yeah, Benoit Saint Denis is really fucking good. But we'll get to that. Yeah, Ruffy was able to chin Rafael Fiziev. Not what I expected at all. Fiziev didn't resort to grappling at all, which I don't know if he thought he needed to. He was still in the fight, like on the feet before the knockout. But yeah, Mauricio Ruffy's too slick. He has a great style. I love his style. It's great to watch. And I'm very excited to see what he does at lightweight. And speaking of lightweight, it's really weird the situations we have at lightweight. I feel like he's very rock paper scissors-y at lightweight right now. I think Ruffy would knock out Gaethje. I think Ruffy would knock out Paddy. He might get grappled by Paddy, so that's the big worry about that. But we've seen that Paddy just doesn't want to grapple ever, and I could see Mauricio chinning him. I think Ruffy probably knocks out Oliveira before he can get a takedown. I think Max Holloway beats Ruffy. I think Benoit just dominates Ruffy again. I think Arman Tsarukyan would just obliterate Ruffy. So it is, but I also think Benoit Saint Denis would lose to Oliveira. So it's very like rock paper scissors esque at lightweight, where styles are clashing in a way that is making it very hard to see who's going to come out on top at lightweight, which is very interesting. It makes lightweight a very fun division. But I really don't think Gaethje should be interim champ in comparison to all these guys coming up. Like, it's a bad look to have him as the head of the honchos, I guess, when it comes to lightweight, because we have Charles who's better, Max who's better. I bet you Ruffy knocks him out, but we can't really say for sure. We have Arman who's better. It's just bad look to me, in my opinion. But yeah, Ruffy gets it done. Very excited to see what he does next. And yeah, kind of crazy that happened. Next, the co-main event, Dan Hooker versus Benoit Saint Denis. This is the one that I was just going over like 2 seconds ago. Benoit, his stock has gone through the fucking roof. And to be honest, Dan Hooker at this point isn't an opponent where I'm like that I think Benoit's going to go on a run for the belt or anything. Like, Dan Hooker's still, I mean, shit, Arman Tsarukyan's coming off the same win and everybody thinks Arman deserves the belt. So maybe Benoit gets a couple more wins and we could have that conversation, but Benoit was just able to put on a pressure against Dan that Dan wasn't able to handle. And I kind of knew that was the case. I went with Benoit Saint Denis because of the grappling pressure that he puts on. And yeah, Dan Hooker kind of crumbled to it. Benoit would shoot nonstop. He'd run forward like a dumbass, take shots to give like giant fucking powerful hooks to go into takedowns. Like, he's very sloppy with his technique, but it works really well. And I think he generates a lot of force behind his shots because you could tell like they're not clean or technical, but they like every single time it lands, you just get fucking stunned and then instantly have to stuff a takedown. it would get exhausting and overwhelming for your brain. And Benoit, as a like besides the Poirier knockout, has proven to have a pretty good chin. And now I'm starting to think that the Poirier fight and the Renato Moicano fight was pretty much just staph infection after what Benoit's been able to do against opponents that I think are very skilled and good in this division. I mean, he's dominating Dan Hooker. He's dominating Ruffy. He was doing really good against Poirier before he got chinned. The Renato Moicano loss is really just an enigma to me because that I really just counted Benoit Saint-Denis completely out after that fight. I thought he was never going to be anything because Moicano is good, but he doesn't dominate people like that and leave them a complete bloody mess. He just doesn't do that. So I really counted Benoit out. But it turns out Benoit is kind of a monster, and I bet you he's going to go on a little bit of a run. And he could, I don't know. It's his style's interesting up the rankings because he could get shinned again, and I definitely don't know if I'm going to pick him in future matchups, but he's a little bit of a dark horse at lightweight, which I like. I like Benoit Saint-Denis. I was rooting for him against Poirier, to be honest. But yeah, he was able to put on a pressure against Hooker that he wasn't able to handle. Get takedowns. Hooker would get up. He'd land shots, try to go for a takedown again. Hooker was landing his own stuff, but Benoit just ate it and came forward. And then eventually, he was able to get on top, get in full mount, land shots, and it was a little bit of an early stoppage where he was landing ground and pound. Like Dan Hooker was covering up and like throwing back, I guess, from the bottom, but he literally like he took like 30 unanswered shots right to the face, just covering up, but not like doing anything to like actually dodge or block punches. He was kind of just laying there, and Benoit hit him in the face like 30 times, and the ref was like, "Okay, we're done." So it may have been a little bit early, but I don't think so. I thought it was pretty good stoppage, and Dan Hooker gets beat the fuck up on the ground again twice in a row in 2 months. So he needs to take a while off and work on his grappling, or just like get an opponent that's not going to do that, because I'm not trusting him against a grappler ever, to be honest, until he proves me otherwise. So yeah, Benoit Saint Denis, big win. Looking up the rankings, I'm excited to see what he does, and I'm glad that he's proving me wrong because I do like Benoit Saint Denis a lot, and he's what makes like this is fun grappling to me. There's grappling that's like super dumb and gay and boring, and then there's grappling like Armin Sarukian's and Benoit Saint Denis, where you're going for shit the whole time, you're landing shots the whole time, your opponent looks like a bloody mess after the fight, you're getting finishes. Benoit Saint Denis, every single fight he's ever won has been a finish in the UFC. These are the fights and the fighters that I want to watch in the grappling realm, not fucking laying there like a dumbass idiot, not doing anything to progress or damage your opponent at all. Umar Nurmagomedov, Islam against Jack, Hamzat against DDP. It's just getting too prevalent, and I'm glad there's fighters like Benoit who can make grappling fun in the UFC. So yeah, next we have the main event: Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez, the main event of UFC 225, and Volkanovski does it again. I went with Diego Lopez. I thought he was going to be able to catch him. I thought he was going to be able to come forward and actually like progress his game and try to land mean shots and not worry about what's coming back at him because he already knows what's coming back at him from 25 minutes in their first fight. But I was wrong. Diego was pretty much okay with just being on the outside and not blitzing like he needed to. I thought Volk was in control the entire fight. Volk on the outside, not he didn't. There was exchanges. There was a lot of exchanges. There was a lot of big punches, but it was pretty dull. Like they were, it was pretty much just Volk on the outside, landing his jab, landing his low kick, evading shots well. Volk still got it. He's still fucking amazing, and I think yeah, Volk can stay in this division and do good for a long time. And this has really opened my eyes to the fact that he's not aging like the way I thought he was. He's not at all. And I think he's going to be a mainstay at featherweight for a long time still. And I really think the only people that can, like the only person that can maybe beat him is an explosive fighter like Gene Silva. But I think Lerone Murphy's cooked. I think Mavzar's cooked. I think Aljamain's cooked. Volkanovski is just kind of that good, to be honest. But Diego didn't follow the game plan that I thought he needed to follow to beat Volkanovski in the rematch. I thought he needed to take chances, a lot of chances, to catch Volkanovski on the chin. But every single time Diego would come in, Volk would kind of duck his head and slam him with a right hand. And I think it started to get Diego like just he got real uncomfortable and he was like, fuck, I can't every single time I go in, Volk cracks me on the chin and then he's tapping me up on the outside. It was just hard for Diego to find an opening. But he was still landing shots. He was still doing good. I really thought Diego Volkanovski like I'm not 100%. All the rounds kind of merged together in my brain because they were all pretty similar. But I thought Volkanovski pretty much had control of the entire fight. But Diego did drop Volk at one point in the fifth, so maybe you could get that round to him. But I don't know. I think Volkanovski clearly won this fight by decision. It wasn't fun, but it was very technical, very impressive to me because I thought Diego was going to do what he needed to do and catch him on the chin. But Volkanovski proves he's the guy. He's the best featherweight of all time. Two more fights and he might be in the GOAT conversation at the UFC, I would say. Maybe he goes up to lightweight. That's what I want. I want Volkanovski at lightweight, fighting either Arman Tsarukyan or maybe a Benoit or somebody in those top rankings at lightweight. And I think he needs to give that another shot because we have contenders at featherweight, but I don't know. They're all in like a limbo state where Movsar hasn't fought in like a million years. Lerone Murphy's coming off a win against somebody who wasn't even in the UFC. Aljamain Sterling honestly has the best case for the belt in my opinion because he beat Brian Ortega, who's at least a mainstay contender at featherweight. But I'm not super excited for that either. I would like to see Volk in his last couple fights try his hand at lightweight again. Now that Islam's gone, I think he needs to try it again. So yeah, Volk was able to utilize his game plan well, and it was the exact same in the last fight. He said he wanted to take more chances in this fight. I don't think he did. He stayed on the outside, landed the shots that he needed to, was able to evade very effectively, and just kind of picked apart Diego Lopez for all 5 rounds. So yeah, he does it again. God damn it. I can never. I'm just wrong. And it's really irritating. But I'm glad Volk won. I do like Volk a ton. And he's just very good, and he's impressing me more and more every single time he fights. But I really thought I was on the money with this one. So it's obviously a little bit disappointing. But yeah, Volkanovski gets it done. Good for him. Excited to see what he does next. Not the most exciting fight, but still an impressive performance. And it's a Volkanovski performance. Like he's doing this. Like that's what he does. He's not like a crazy finisher or a crazy warhammer, but he puts on a very technical performance. And it's neither boring nor super exciting. It's just kind of impressive is the word I'll leave. So yeah, I think that's about it. Let me know what you think. I'll see you soon.